Hi everybody, welcome to Table for Two. I'm Onezie.
And I'm the Elusive Bigfoot. Today we are going to be doing we're going to talk about our 10 by 10. And what a 10 by 10 is, we play 10 games 10 times throughout 2023. And so the way that, there's many ways you can track that. There are boards you can buy. We do it very simply, just on a magnetic dry erase board that we keep in the kitchen, and we just mark off what we played, and then I also get to tally on what we have left to go, so that we knew that we were going to finish on time. Because I'll be honest with you, we started out great. We were so ahead, and then the fall happened, and then we got further and further behind. So then during the winter, we started playing as fast as we could, and we did finish mid-December sometime. We played our final game, and I think, what was our final set of games? It was Yak, I think. It was either Yak or Azul. I think it was Yak, though.
I think it was Yak.
Yeah, but we're going to be talking about all of that, what our impressions were. And this is the one time we actually did rank them. We used Pub Meeple again to rank all of the 10 games. And let me just say that we love all of these games. That's why we chose them. But this was in the order of what we would, after we've played them this many times, what we would prefer to bring out at a given moment. Okay? So with that, why don't we start? Shall I do the number 10?
Sure, do the number 10.
Okay, number 10. Number 10 was Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza. I love Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza.
It's fun. I just can't ever win at it.
You have. I think you won one.
Ever.
It is a game where each player has a set of cards, and they all have images and a word on it. And then all the players will take turns saying taco. Then the next player would turn over a card. Next player turns over a card, says cat. Next player, goat, cheese, pizza. And you just keep going round and round. At any given moment, when your word matches what card you flipped over, everyone will slap the deck. When you slap the deck, whoever is last to slap takes the cards. The point of the game is to get rid of all your cards. If you flinch and you weren't, oh shoot, I shouldn't grab it. You flinched, you got to take the cards. If you slap it at the wrong moment, you take the cards. So, and then there's some enhancements that you can do to the game. Do different actions. When it's like squirrel, you pound the ground. When it's a gorilla, you pound your chest. When it's the narwhal, you put your hands over your head, and then you slap the deck. So there are added ways that you can bring to the game to get rid of cards too. What did you like about it?
I liked it that it was fun and not serious. It's a good kind of party starter game. What I don't like about it is that it requires some physical ability. And so I was 90% of the time, I was too slow to slap the deck better than last.
One of my favorite things that you did with my sister is that you thought you could outsmart the deck and go really slow. Taco. Cat.
I did,
but then you
slow.
Still lost at that. So it's a silly game. I really like it. I happen to be good at hand-eye coordination, so that worked out great for me. All right, so that was number 10, Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza.
Number 9. Number 9 is Chronicles of Crime.
Oh, those are good.
So with Chronicles of Crime, we have a whole series of them. There's not just one game.
We did.
But it's a game where you solve a mystery. You're flipping cards, and you also use an app to help you read the cards. And you will wander around different time periods. So that's why it's kind of like a Chronicles of Time, but it's also a Chronicles of Crime. Some of the crimes occur in the Middle Ages. Some of the crimes occur around the turn of the century, 1900, and so you're trying to solve a mystery together, and every action you take takes up a certain amount of time, and you have to solve it within a certain amount of time.
Right. One thing I like about this game that I haven't seen other games do it on this level is you actually take your phone and you click on the app that's on your phone, and you walk around and you're saying, what do you see in the scene? And then your partners will start to pull out the cards that are similar. Oh, I see jewelry. So you're looking for the jewelry card. I see a blood stain on the floor. So you're looking at something that says stain or blood. And then you have all these clues together. And then you can scan the clues and see how they apply to the crime. There may be puzzles to solve. You use the app to go to different locations and it gives you more information. So much fun. Like you said, we have the 1400, we played the 1900, and we still have the 2400 to play.
Yeah, and in at least one of the games, you can have a dog with you.
Oh yeah, the
So
1400 was the dog.
if you don't notice something, you can get your dog to sniff around the scene and see what the dog discovers.
Yeah.
That's fun too.
And that was very helpful because at one point, we needed the dog. I'm not going to give anything away, but we needed the dog to do something and to notice something. And so I think it took us 3 times that we played the game before we realized, oh, wait a minute, we kept losing. We need the dog. Because at the end, you can submit your results, and this is what we think. This is who did it. This is when they did it. This is why. This is what happened in the background. And if you're not ready to solve it, and the app takes note of where you've been and what you've done, if you're not ready to solve it, it will tell you you need to go back and discover more. So it took us a while before we got into the rhythm, was able to make use of everything that we needed.
So that was our number 9.
Number 9.
Chronicles of Crime.
All right. Number 8. Number 8 is Welcome to the Moon. So if you've played the Welcome to Your Neighborhood series, you know, they've got different types of, it's a flip and write game where you have addresses and you need to put them in chronological order while you achieve certain goals to get the most number of points. We do this on dry erase boards, and so it's worked out well during the pandemic, worked out great over the, you know, we would do this over Zoom with people. And in this particular one, Welcome to the Moon, it's a campaign style game. And each game really can stand on its own, but we did play the whole campaign. I discovered this at Dice Tower West, and then I was able to find the game, bring it home, and then we started really looking at it. I will say this, it was very confusing when I tried to do this at Dice Tower West because it was an open box, and unless it's put back correctly, you will never figure out what goes with what. But when we started with a brand new box, it was very easy to figure out, and it brings you through more and more difficult stages. So by the time you get to the end, you're incorporating different things that you've learned. You are passing your boards back and forth. It plays great 2 to many. Highly recommend this game.
Yeah, my only thing on Welcome to the Moon is that it is exponentially more complicated than the other Welcome to games.
It is.
So if you've never done Welcome to, I recommend you start with the base game. Welcome to your perfect neighborhood.
Perfect neighborhood, I think, yeah.
Welcome to your neighborhood. Start with that one because it's easy to understand. Even understanding the base game, it took us a little while to wrap our brains around all the symbology, iconography for Welcome to the Moon.
Yeah, the Welcome to the Moon was a little bit trickier, definitely. Welcome to the base game, very easy to understand the symbols. You can get into your group. They've got expansions. Gosh, we've got like 4 different expansions or 5 different expansions here. But we did love it. It was good. Okay, yours.
All right. Next up is number 7.
Number 7.
Number
7.
There you go. Number 7 is Race to the Raft. And Race to the Raft is a tile laying game. It's sort of a sequel to Isle of Cats.
Yeah.
If you've played Isle of Cats, it's a very popular game. It's a very fun game where you're trying to rescue cats from an island before the island burns down or something like that. And so this particular game, Race to the Raft, is all about making a path for the cats to find their way to the boat.
Yeah, the cats themselves will move this time.
So you lay tiles on a board and...
Not on a board, on a table.
On a table.
Yeah.
And depending on how you lay the tiles, you can make a path for the cat. But then some of the tiles get destroyed or burned as the game goes on. So I suppose some of your cats could get burned if they don't make it to the raft.
They could. It is a co-op game, so we're working together to get the cats all the way to the end. And I like that it was a Kickstarter that came out during the pandemic. And then it arrived while we were doing our 10 by 10. We're like, well, we have to add it to the list. So that's how that came about. But
the list of many Kickstarters or just the list of the 10 by 10?
Both. We did play the Kickstarter. I have more behind this wall that you guys are not seeing that we have to play. But still, it was, it's one thing I like also about this particular game is that the guy who created it, he keeps sending out scenarios. It's like this game just doesn't end. It's terrific.
Right, so that was Isle of Cats, Race to the Raft.
Race to the Raft. Right. All right. The next one is number 6.
Number 6.
So with number 6, no, I forgot what it was. Sorry. Number 6 is, is Paleo. Paleo is a game where it takes place during I think it's the Cro-Magnon man time. It's back with the primitives. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to survive, you're trying to thrive into this environment with unknown things. There's a bit of simultaneous play in it where you're turning over cards and you decide when you want to stop, which actions you want to take. So it's been a while since we played this one, but I think it's like you have a choice of a couple of cards and you're picking which one are you going to turn over. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
And then you're going to figure out from the card that you turned over what actually happened to your team. So you don't know. It's like, oh, I think that these cards, one of them is going to be dangerous, one of them might be good. Let's just take a chance. We have enough food, we have enough things, because you have to have food, you have to have shelter, or you start getting sick, or you start getting points taken away from you, a little skull crossbones. So you really want to develop yourselves as best you can. And one thing that we did is we started with the 10 by 10. This is a game that you can unfold packets and you get to discover more and more as you go. The whole time you're trying to build this painting of a mammoth, a woolly mammoth.
A cave painting.
A cave painting, yes. I like it. I wish that the tokens were upgraded in some way, which we could always do. You know, right now they're little cardboard chits, which is fine. And then the like the easel kind of thing that they give you is okay. It doesn't really hold the stuff very well from what we've noticed. And I kept looking online. Did anybody figure out a way to use it? No, everyone's kind of struggling with it. So I think at the end, we're just like, let's just put a representation. Let's just put all the stuff on the table. Doesn't take up a lot of room, but boy, does it pack a punch.
It's a good game. It's a good game. And it's really satisfying to use that cave painting as it's not really a turn marker, but it marks your progression through the game. So if you can make that entire painting
before you get the skull and crossbones,
it's made up of little puzzle pieces that fit together. If you can make that, then you've won.
Right.
If you haven't made the painting, then you've collectively
well,
lost.
If you haven't made the painting before you die, then
then
the game ends. You lose. So don't die. That is the secret of most games. Don't die.
Most.
Most.
So that was Paleo. Next up on the list is number 5. 5 is the number. We are doing Azul for number 5. Azul is kind of a classic game at this point. It's got beautiful components. You're drafting tiles and putting them on your personal player board and then scooting them over into the score area to make tiles. So you're a tile maker. And this is a great, fun game. The components of Azul are really nice. We got a mini version.
A travel version. Which is also really fun because the player boards have little bumps on them. It's recessed, yeah.
It's the opposite of recessed. It's like they poke up and the pieces are recessed.
It's like a layer of plastic on your board. So it holds your tiles in place, which if you've ever bumped your board, you know.
Yes. So we really like the mini game just because it's mini. It's cute. And Azul is a great game. What do you like about Azul?
I like that it travels and it packs up so small. It packs up into a bag that's about this big. So, you know, after we got that, we started playing it, I just thought, you know, I know there's a trend for games to be bigger and bigger and bigger, but boy, do I miss these small games. We've actually done a video, which we will link, you know, to this one. Maybe we'll put up a card at the end for travel games, and all the travel games are very small. And this is a game that I could see us very easily traveling with.
Azul is a great game. What's next?
Next is number 4. and 4 shall be the number, and the number shall be 4. Okay, I don't remember what it was. Wait a minute. Okay, I do.
Number 4 is
Yak.
yak.
Yak is a game. It's a board game where you have these yaks that are pulling yurts, like carts behind them. And in the cart, you can trade resources such as milk, meat, or bread in exchange for a colored stone. You're building a pyramid of stones, and you're going to gain points based on the color combinations that you make and the goals that are in the game. And so the yaks travel around this board, and whatever yak is in front of you, you're allowed to exchange goods for stones, or you can do something for the market that's in the middle. And there's 3 yaks that you use in a 2-player game, and there's a total of 4 yaks if you use more players. The goals will change occasionally. You know, every game there's, I think, a total of 10 or 12 different goals that you could choose from. I love this game. It is simple. It's easy to play. And then we like to make the sound of a yak. Now, I don't know how we decided this is the sound of a yak as it travels, but this is the sound that we make when we move the yak around.
Yak.
So it became a zombie yak.
Zombie yaks.
That's what we call them, zombie yaks. So I'm sure that all of you have your own strange things that you like to do that make the game fun, but that was ours. What did you like about the game?
Generally, it's gather resources and spend resources to build your wall, and whoever builds the best wall wins. But the fun part is the resources travel around the board in carts hauled by yaks, and they're little wooden pieces, which are so really super cute.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about yak, is the super cute yaks.
Super cute, yeah.
Oh, the first player or the active player marker.
Oh yeah.
Is a little tiny baby yak. So you pass that back and forth, the little baby yak.
I will say this. When we first got the game, I had a lot of problems trying to get the horns, because you kind of assemble a little bit, getting the horns into the yaks, and I just couldn't do it. And part of it, I noticed that my yaks were not drilled correctly. And so I contacted the maker of the game. I'm like, hey, can you help me out with this? And I sent the pictures of what it looks like. I said, they don't look like yaks. They look like sheep. And she said, oh, poor sheep. I can help you fix it. Send me what you have in an I'll send you yaks with horns in it. And she did. She put the whole thing together for me. So that's what we use now. So awesome.
I'm just thinking about animal biology classes in college where they're going to study pre-drilled yaks.
Pre-drilled yaks?
Pre-drilled yaks.
And then find out what that means later?
Yes.
Okay. So that was yak.
That was yak. All right. Next up on the list is number 3.
Number 3.
1, 2, 5.
4. Oh, I thought it was before.
1, 2, 5.
5.
Oh, 3. Number 3.
You sure?
Yes. Yes.
3.
Number 3. Now I forgot what it was. Okay. Number 3 is Tekenu.
Tekenu.
So Tekenu is just like component heaven. All right. There's all kinds of stuff in that box, including an obelisk, which is in the not quite the center of the board, but it acts as the centerpiece of the game.
Yeah, it's one of the most important components.
And the piece of cardboard that the obelisk is attached to rotates around, sort of symbolizing where the shadows fall and where the light falls and where the darkness is. And you roll dice for each little segment. And if, depending on the color of the dice and whether it's in dark, light, or twilight, shade, the dice have different meanings. And then you collect the dice and you use them to do other things around the board, like build statues and build buildings and things like that.
Yeah. The part of what I really like about this game is that it uses Egyptian lore. And so in the Egyptian lore, you have a scale where your soul is balanced against the purity or the darkness of your deeds that you've done. So if you choose a die that is in the light, you get to put that on the good side. If you put it, or in the light side, they never say bad or good, in the light side.
The pure side.
The pure side. And then if it's in the dark, or in the shade, it goes on the other side. So you're balancing a scale, and when you're in balance, or if you have more good, then you get more points. So that's why we're looking at like what can we do? Because sometimes you're not allowed to use a shaded or a dark die to do a function. So it's there's a lot of strategy, and the more that we played it, the deeper that we were able to go. We were able to start recognizing some of the gods from the Egyptian lore, like I said. Super fun. And I remember when we first started playing this, we were watching Moon Knight. We're like, oh, check that out. That's in our game.
So one thing I super like about Tekkenu, and I like this about other games too, is that there are multiple ways to get victory points. It's not just a race to the one way to get victory points.
Right.
There's 6 or 7 different ways to get points in this game. So if my opponent is doing really good at building statues and I'm behind on that, I can concentrate on doing something else. I could build buildings for the people.
Yeah.
And try to get points that way.
You'll get their happiness points.
Right. And I just really love games that have multiple paths to victory instead of just one.
Yes. Oh, and one other thing that I like. Now, I know that some people don't like the actual plastic obelisk that sticks out because it is pretty tall. And for some people, it gets in their way. I know some people just remove it all the way and then just read whatever the dice are going to say. I like it. But what we like to do also is we make sound whenever we turn it.
Yes.
So that's something we do, and that is Tekkenu.
Tekkenu. What's next?
Next is number 2. Oh, number 2 is Spirit Island.
Spirit Island.
So it is what I consider the opposite of Catan, where in Catan you're trying to populate this area and develop it. And in Spirit Island, it is the story if the spirits of this island don't want the explorers to be there, how they are able to get rid of them. And so it is a co-op game where you are battling to get rid of whatever the instructions are before you're overrun. And so it is, it can move fast. The very first few rounds go very slow, and it's like, oh, we're not going to do anything. I can't make a dent. But then all of a sudden, when you have enough cards and you have enough things out there and enough powers, things start to turn. There's lots of expansions, so you can play different types. Like you can be the rivers, you can be fire, you can be lightning, you can be fear. By the end of our 10 by 10, we were able to play the game in about, and this is without expansions, in like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And so, people are always asking, how can you play it so fast? One, we didn't play with, there's different ways that you can enhance the game to make it harder. So that was one. We didn't do it with those. We started incorporating them actually at the end. But one thing is, when you have one partner that you play with a lot, it became almost shorthand speech that we did. It was like, are you going to do that thing over there because you've got a marker over there? Because I have a token over here and I can do this over here. You take that and I take this and we'll just meet in the middle. Okay. And then we would go. So the strategy portion of it became abbreviated speech, like we recognized ways that were effective for us to play certain things. And one thing that I noticed is like, just go for the most fear points because we got to get through this deck of fear. As you get more and more feared, you can turn cards over that will help you get rid of things. As you get down there, you need less requirements in order to win. Like when you start out, you have to get rid of all the plastic. And then when you get a little further, you just have to get rid of all the explorers, the people. Then when you get a little farther, you get rid of all the cities. Is that the cities?
Villages.
The villages,
yeah.
villages. And when you get a little further, just get rid of the big towns, the big buildings. So the faster you can get through that, I noticed, the faster you can win. That was like the big thing.
I also thematically I like this that you're playing the spirits of the island, but there are native inhabitants of the island called Dohan.
Yeah, the Dohan.
The Dohan. They're little wooden mushroom-looking pieces.
Took me forever to find out that those represent the huts of the Dahan. I thought at first those were the people. I'm like, that is weird. It looks like something out of IKEA, like the little buttons you push in the holes.
Yeah. So the Dohan are there, and as a spirit, you can influence them, push them around from territory to territory, make them want to do this and not want to do that, or help you in the fight against your explorers.
Yeah. Because you're friends with the natives, the Dahan.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that was Spirit Island.
That was number 2. All right. Number 1.
Our number 1 game. Number 1. Can you do a trumpet? Number
Number
one. Number one on our list is Decorum.
Mm-hmm.
Decorum is I almost described it as a co-op game.
It is a co-op.
It is a co-op game. You're trying to win together.
Yeah.
But it's also a very combative game. You're decorating a house together.
We are.
And choosing the colors of paint and the lamps and the furniture and things like that, and what rooms the pets are going to be in,
right?
Things like that. And if someone makes a choice, I guess it's a passive-aggressive game.
It's considered a passive-aggressive co-op game with limited communication.
Yeah. So if I make a choice about what to do in a certain room, all my partner can say is, "I like that," or "I hate that,"
or "Oh man, green in there again? I thought it was clear. I don't want green in that room."
You're not actually allowed to say
that. You're
that.
right. It's right. You can't say that. You can say, "I don't like that. Why would you put that there? I took that out."
Yes. So it's a lot of that. And then if your opponent does something neutral, I could live with that. I'm okay with that.
Okay. I can change what I'm working on, and I can live with it.
So you get a certain number of rounds. I think it's turns. I think it's 30 turns.
So, something like that.
To try to decorate the house together appropriately. There's a card that lists what each player needs to do.
Right. We have our own secret objectives.
Yeah. So I have my 3 or 4 goals, and she has her 3 or 4 goals.
Well, by the time you get to the end, I think you end up with like 7, 8 goals.
Yeah.
Because it gets progressively harder. Like other games that we play, each game gets a little bit harder and starts incorporating more and more elements.
And as you get to certain markers on the turn board, turn 15, I think, we each get to reveal one of our objectives to each other, so that they're aware of what we're trying to argue about.
Right. So if he's been putting green in that room, and I'm not allowed to have any cool colors on that side of the house or on that floor, in your house, you cannot have, and then he'll understand, oh, that's why you keep doing it, so I can move it to the other corner. And I can't say yes or no, because there might be something else that I can or cannot do with that particular color. So I just share what I can.
Yeah, and I'll just say too that this is a fun game to lose, because you're just solving a puzzle together, and you've got about 30 turns to do it in. Maybe you'll do it, maybe you won't, but you can have fun arguing with each other.
There were a couple of rounds, a couple of games that we lost, but I will say this also. Every game is winnable. Like when we lost, we would just put out the cards like, how can we make this scenario work? So we would look at it together, and it's like, can we do this? And no, because we still need to be able to have no lamps there. So you can't put that maybe it's the design, maybe it's the color, maybe it's the type of thing. Can't have a lamp in that room. What if I put the lamp in this room? Well, if you put the lamp in that room, then you have to remove this, and this. Oh, I forgot about that. Well, what if that lamp was the only thing in there? Does that work? Oh, I didn't even think about that. That was the answer. So and that's not giving anything away. I'm making that up. It could look as simple as that. And I remember we went all the way through all of it, like when we were close to the end of Decorum, or when we were close to the end on our 10 by 10, we still had 2 more games to play. So we said, well, let's see if we can play the 3 and 4 player as 2 players. Okay, that didn't work. So then we said, what if we just went back to the original games now that we know what we know? Let's see, because you don't remember the scenarios. It's been forever since we had done it. Let's see how that goes. So we played them, but we were so accustomed to it being so much harder, we lost the first game. We couldn't win it. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I know what the problem is. They didn't say you had to do this, this, and this. We assumed you need to do that because we're accustomed to having to have additional rules on it. Let's just go with exactly what it says on the card, and then we won it like that. So
yeah, and I'll just say I was surprised that this had the replayability that it did, because it comes with a certain number of scenarios, like 15 or 20 scenarios or something like that.
I think 20.
20. And so once you know what's on the scenarios, then you know, right? But by the time we played through all 20 scenarios and went back to scenario 1 and 2, I had forgotten what it was. So it was just like playing a new scenario.
And then I heard that Floodgate, which is who made this game, has created new scenarios if you have the app, and that the app was released. I still haven't been able to find any new scenarios. So if you know how to access those, please let us know because we want to play more for the 2-player for sure. I can't find an app for Floodgate Games. I can't find an app for this particular game. I've gone to the website. It does mention it's released, but I don't know how to find it. So any help I would appreciate because I do love this game.
Floodgate Games, post your link. Thank you.
All right.
All right, so that was our 10 by 10 for 2023. We hope you enjoyed listening to us praise and rant about these games.
We told you what we like and what we don't like. And, I will say this also. Keep in mind that the games that I own are the games that I already love. So it's not like I'm going to get rid of the game that I've just described to you. There may be games that we don't play as often as others, but I do go through cullings every couple, 6 months or so. So I'm going to be culling out my collection because I got a whole new set of Kickstarter. Shelves are only so big. So.
Well, maybe next year we'll do a 10 by 10 of all Kickstarters.
Oh, that would be interesting. We could. All right.
All right. So thanks for joining us for the 10 by 10 of 2023. I'm Onezie.
I'm the Elusive Bigfoot. Please subscribe, like us, and thank you for letting us come into your lives. Bye.
Bye.